everyone. Start us off, Troy. Start us off here. I had to beat it. I had
Look, this is supposed to be a driver's meeting, not a stand-up show, so just cut the act.
I was trying to do something here.
All right.
12.
Watching, by the way.
We got 300 people watching.
12. 300 people. Oh my God!
Right.
I'd like to thank the Academy. No. All right. Welcome to the first formal Gnarshred drivers meeting for the preseason round at Lime Rock. This is something I wanted to do for a very long time for drifting events, but never knew how to. So let's just get right into it because I don't know where to go with it. This is what we're going to cover here real quick. I'm going to go over registration and tech one more time just so everybody's on the same page. I know it's kind of hard with how organized I try to keep things. Like signing up looks really complicated, but it's meant to be really easy. So I'm just going to go through that one more time real quick for everybody. And then we'll get into the schedule for the week and how things are going to go down. And then we'll get into the meat of the meeting, starting with how you're supposed to conduct yourself on track, where you can go, where you can't go, how you're supposed to line up, everything. We're going to go over party rules, which may or may not be void depending on what we want to do that day. We may change some stuff up, but I'll read off what we have now. And then we're going to get right into how qualifying is going to be judged, and then a little bit into tandem. Tandem's going to be covered kind of lightly because we want to get through qualifying first and see how you guys are driving, the track before we start saying, okay, these are going to be our problem areas. These are going to be places where we need to look for this. But I mean, it's Lime Rock. We all have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen, but we're going to cover tandem later and in more depth right after we get done with qualifying. And then we'll open it up for questions and any other concerns you have about the track that we didn't bring up or the event that we didn't bring up. And then we'll be done. So get into registration first real quick. When you sign up for the event, first of all, when you sign up for the series, you have the driver registration and then the tech sheet there. Driver registration goes to me, and then the tech sheet goes to Saucy. What you need to make sure that you have, first of all, before you drive, you got to have the season one because that tells me who's interested in the series, who's going to drive, what your number is, where you're from, all of the stuff that I need to know to get a hold of you and set everything up to get a head count for everybody that's interested. And then when events come up, I'll post a link to sign up for those events individually. And there you just, basically, it's like doing roll call in school. You have everybody there and say, okay, if you're in, raise your hand and say it, that's all that is. It just seems complicated now because I had you guys do it all at once. But you'll see now you'll just have to do the event thing once every event to tell me when you can qualify, when you're free, and that you want to do it. And then when we get into the actual season, you'll have to tell me which car you're going to use. But that's something we don't have to cover here. And then regarding tech, I was really hoping you guys would not start filing. I mean, I guess I could have set it to not accept responses, but it was good that you guys were able to go through and see what that was. I was really hoping you guys would hold back from doing the tech sheets until closer to when you'd qualify because of how long it is, and I don't have it set up to where you can do quick updates on your builds and everything. But basically, when you file that, obviously you don't have to go through your tuning setups or anything. It's just your build. And then what would happen then is it goes to Saucy, who would look it over and make sure that it all, matches up with what we have in our rule book and what's been agreed upon for the event and everything. And when we get to the actual season, as soon as we get your text sheets will immediately send you a message back to say, yes, that works, or no, you need to change this. We haven't been doing it that much we haven't done it at all for this, only because we're trying to get everything else kind of settled in. And that's been...
Also, keep in mind is these 2 rounds are going to be very, us testing a lot of stuff. So if something doesn't go as smoothly with like tech or anything like that, just keep in mind that we're just feeling everything out basically, especially on a new game and all that stuff like that. So if weird thing like that, screwing up tech or whatever that stuff, that will all be worked out later. If something weird that happens, and it's just testing it out. So
yeah, with I had something there, and my brain went in like 5 different places. Yeah, especially for these first 2 preseason stuff is like it's for you guys to understand what we're gonna be doing, and on one half, and then the other half is for us to go, what the hell are we gonna do? So you got to keep that in mind. When we get to the actual season, it's gonna be immediate. No, that doesn't pass. Yes, that passes. Awesome job, like whatever. But for this one, we're keeping it lax. I'm just going to look over it real quick, make sure everything looks right. But when we get to the actual season, we'll go through and actually, rebuild it, try to see if everything matches up and everything. And then one thing real quick, because I just read it here and I didn't even bring it up, is when you guys... you can change your car up as much as you want. You can change what it is and what you do to it. This is just for preseason, first of all. You can change what it is, what you did to it, and everything up until you put down your first official pass, which would be your first qualifying run. Once you've qualified with me, you can't do anything to that car. You can change the tune, but you can't change the build, and you can't just change cars. And it's that way up until the end of the event. Once you've been either knocked out of the event or you've won the event, harsh reality there, then you can go through and change whatever you want. Otherwise, do not touch a thing. Very crucial, because that'll be a thing if we see a PI change or a stat change. We're going to go, hold on, he did something, you're out. Like, it'll be instant. So keep that in mind. Okay, schedule. Starting tomorrow, which a lot of you have already started to sign up, and I think most of you that are probably watching the stream have already done this. Monday through Thursday, one of us will be meeting with you guys based on how you've signed up with your availability and everything, and going through and having you guys do your qualifying runs. Traditionally, people have taken a day and just had everybody do it live. And I wanted to get as far away from that as possible because of connection problems and trying to get a whole bunch of people online at the same day. And instead, I'd rather just have it completely open to you guys. Because, I mean, our team, we can't schedule anything with how everybody's all over the place with work and school and everything. And we completely understand that can be the same way for you guys. You guys don't live on Xbox. I mean, some of you do. But you don't live on Xbox to be able to just be on whenever. And I know some people are going to be qualifying right as soon as we get done with this meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'll get you guys in the lobby. You're going to do a single practice run to warm up tires and get reacquainted with the track. Hopefully it's not your first time on the track. I'm rock. And then you're going to do your 2 qualifying runs while one of us, whoever it is in spectate and recording it. And then what's going to happen is on Friday, we are all going to get into, the 3 judges are going to sit there and watch all the recorded runs and score them all right there. And I'll hopefully be able to broadcast the scoring and the runs as we're watching them, so you guys can follow along. And what that'll do is first of all, judging will be more consistent. We'll all be watching the runs at the same time, all in one piece. There's no like, oh, so-and-so, won't be on till 10, so we got to wait for them. And no, everything's going to be watched all at once. Same judges, same rhythm, same everything, all the way through, and then as soon as it should take like under an hour. If it takes an hour, we did something wrong. And we'll be able to put scores up instantly so that, Saturday afternoon you guys will know, or not Saturday, Friday afternoon you'll know whether or not you need to show up tomorrow or on Saturday for the event or not, or when you're going to be online, when you have to be online, who you're going to face. You'll have all of that by Friday afternoon.
And that's an important thing for us too, is that we understand that you guys have lives outside of this. So we really focus on making sure that this is fun and everything, but there's also other priorities and stuff too, and we understand that. So with like us making sure that you guys don't like sit there wait all night, and do I need to do this or that because some of you might have work or whatever. We try to make sure that's always situated with all situations there.
Right. And one more thing, and this is about registration for qualifying. What's going to happen is tonight at midnight, you won't be able to qualify on Monday. I'll cut signing up for Monday so that, because as much as you guys need to know when you're going to be online to qualify, I also need, I have stuff I got to do too. So if you guys will have until midnight if you want a Monday slot. And then once we hit the end of Monday, then you wouldn't be able to sign up for the Tuesday slot and so on and so forth. So basically, signing up for qualifying is going to close on Wednesday at midnight Eastern. So get those in as soon as possible. Because it's preseason, I'll probably take a few people. Like if it's Thursday and you're like, oh, I just heard about it, or you're trying to get friends in, because I don't think we're going to fill it. We may or may not fill a 32 bracket. I'll be willing to move some stuff around if someone wants to come in on Thursday. But once we hit like evening on Thursday or like Thursday night, I'm done. Like by Thursday at midnight, I am done taking anybody, because I want us to have all the runs that we need on Friday. Which takes us to Friday, which now I've already talked about. But yeah, my plan is to make sure you guys all know what heat you're in and who you're facing, what your score was by 5 Eastern. We're probably going to have everything done sooner than that. And then that night, we'll probably meet again for another meeting to go over stuff that we saw over the week, to say a lot of guys are doing this, we don't like that, or a lot of guys were doing this, so let's move that, or we through practice or whatever and seeing you guys in qualifying say some specifics about tandem and what we're going to be looking out for, especially stuff regarding passing zones or the problem areas, which I don't think is going to happen at Lime Rock, but the regular season schedule that we've come up with has the hardest tracks that we have. So we're going to have some problem areas to talk about at some point, but I don't think we're going to have anything to talk about here. And this is the important part. On tandem day, based on how you qualify, or when we were told that we were going to have 24-man lobbies in Forza 6, the thought process was like, oh, dude, that means we can do 2 full top 16s and be done with it like that. The problem with that is not only does it make it really hard for you guys to save replays, but you will have 2 guys battling and then 14 guys in that lobby that can't do anything for half an hour or so. So what we've done, and this is what we did on Forza 4, which was very different from what anybody else was doing, is we're going to split it up into 4 sections, which we call heats. I really should have put in a bracket on this slide to show you guys how it's split up. But basically, the first 4 battles in the top 32 bracket are going to be their own heat. And then that top 8 is going to be taken down to 2 drivers, and then those 2 drivers are going to be told to wait. And we're going to do that 4 times through these 4 heats. And again, the advantages there is that if you're in heat D, you don't have to actually be, or you can practice all the way up until 5:30 Eastern for your heat. You don't have to be in a lobby and then just sit there doing nothing when you could be practicing. And then the other part to this is going to make it a lot clearer for you guys. This is what I was talking about with knowing where you are on the bracket. When we do scores, as soon as they're up, I'm going to be sending messages to everybody to say, hey, you qualified 12th and are in Heat B, which means you don't even have to be online for anything until 3:50 Eastern. And this, I'm going to put the schedule up everywhere. I think it's already on the event thread, but I'm going to be putting the schedule up everywhere so everybody knows when the heat times are. So, if you're in Heat A, yeah, you kind of got to be on right at 3 when we start. But if you're in B, C, or D, you have some time to wait. And again, we'll take them to the top 2, and then we have our main, which will have basically a top 8. We're going to do, a little photo op thing with all 8 cars lined up, and then we're going to get right into it. Yeah, so again, I want to put the schedule up everywhere so that you guys all know. And of course, in the message, I'll say what time everything is. Okay, now we get into the Boston Troy OCD stuff. Fun stuff. And most of this, a lot of this is not going to apply for qualifying because I'm meeting with you guys individually, but it's something that I want to get you guys into the habit of doing for a competition day on Saturday. And a lot of this was born of other events that we've driven in and gotten extremely frustrated about. First on my list is making sure that you are always driving in the clockwise direction, which is the normal direction around the track. And this is very much specifically for Saturday battles, and it's something that I'm going to bring up again in that meeting. And it's that the only time that you ever should be going backwards around the track is if you are finishing a battle run. In that situation, you'd be turning around and coming back to the starting line. Even if it's like the second run in a battle and you're coming back and you're waiting for a decision, still a drive all the way back to the start-finish line. But anytime else, you're either staying where you are or moving clockwise around the track. Second of all, do not drift anywhere other than the marked section and the tire warm-up area that we're going to section off. I don't want anybody drifting up like No Name Straight or that last corner there. If you need to warm up tires, just go into the little bus stop. Oh, I can use my mouse. Oh, it's not picking up the mouse. Okay. Go into the little horseshoe thing on West Bend and just make sure no one else is coming. I just don't want there to be a whole lot of traffic around the start-finish line where we need guys to be, coming to grid for their battles and everything. There just needs to be the least amount of traffic and friction as possible around the areas that we have guys trying to battle. And then if you are not battling, you can either be, in the tire warm-up area or somewhere away from the section or in the infield of turn, I guess it's turn 3 because it's a double apex, but the infield of turn 3 where that red circle is, just make sure you're back there and behind a tire wall so that in no way you are going to affect a run going on. It's really, I've just seen so much where someone is like really close on, especially the apex of turn 3. I've seen people like right behind that tire wall, and it's not like they're not doing anything wrong. It's just that little possibility that that could be a problem. Just make sure you're far off from the track and you're in that area. Otherwise, you can be in the tire warm-up area on the West Bend, or just far away from the start-finish line on the front straightaway. I think the rest of that I've covered. Yeah, start-finish line is our starting line, and then I don't want to do a 50 rule per se, because I really wish we'd stop doing that and just be sportsmanlike and pace each other. But if you want to just go off of 50 roll, because it always ends up being a drag race anyway, if you want to just go off a 50 roll, it's where the pit exit is on the right-hand side. So you start from the start-finish line, where it's got lime rock and everything right there. And you're going to pace the other driver, or 50 roll, up to where the pit wall ends. And then you take off. When you're turning around, again, that's something for battle. I'll just save that. I should have saved like all the stuff with multiple people for the battle meeting, but I will cover that later. And then party. This one's pretty simple. I know it looks like it's a wall of text, and a lot of that. Well, this is going to be more for the tandem stuff too. But basically, if you're in a party with other drivers, because I think we're going to do a lot of this through an Xbox Live party, because Forza's game chat is broken. Or, I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be, but it's just stupid. We're going to be doing things through an Xbox Live party. If you're in a party with another guy as you're doing official passes, be it qualifying runs or tandem runs, and you're not in the current battle, the current run, mute your mic. Just on instinct, mute your mic, please. Should we have an instance where someone comes in and starts talking while runs are going on, especially in the regular season, it's going to be instant gone, like, don't care. Because it's happened so often, and I've had situations where drivers have been, severely... I lost the word. I had the word and I lost the word. But they've screwed up, basically, because someone had jumped into the party and, say, hey, guys, what's up? While they're trying to make a qualifying run or something. Just make sure your mics are muted, and don't invite people that we didn't clear. If you want to invite somebody, albeit a driver, or like a driver that's signed up, first of all, basically it should be just a driver. Just clear it with us. Don't just invite your friends. Like, hey, bro, come watch me do this thing.
When you're in the party, always just have the mindset of, if I was battling right now, would I be okay with this? Or think of what the other people battling and such and driving, just think of what they would want, and you'll be fine. Like, when you're battling, battling, you don't want to hear people, talking when you're trying to focus in and, drive. So, just always keep in mind and keep other people, I don't know, what's the word? Basically just think of everybody else. Don't just think about yourself. That's the main reason behind that. So, losing my voice.
Real quick, Tyler, if I give you a lot of time, it's because
I know.
Flag thing. So, don't feel like you have to keep talking.
No, I know. I was losing my voice.
Okay, just making sure. All right. This is us. I didn't know how to start that. This is us. I'm obviously Troy. I will be doing scorekeeping and party supervision, basically. I'll be advancing the bracket. I'll be updating scoring and stuff for qualifying. And then if anything comes up where... Because it's happened. If a situation comes up that I don't already have a rule for, it goes to me, and I'll make up a rule on the spot or something. And sorry if that rule that I make up on the spot doesn't go your way. Saucy is our tech guy. He'll be the one watching your cars and making sure you guys are sticking to what you signed up with. And of course, he goes through and double checks builds anyway, does our tech inspections. And then Hoonigan is going to be doing lobby setup. He'll be sending out the invites. So if you get an invite from him, it is time. You need to get there fast. And he'll also be doing media organization. If some of you, do, I hate saying this, but if you do YouTube or you do Instagram or something, you want to do media coverage of the event, he's the one you go to as far as keeping you either keeping you in the game or making sure you get the invite when it's needed.
Yeah.
And then he'll also be going through. he'll be watching over the lobby and making sure the right people are in there. So that's why it's important to go to him if you want to stay to get replays and stuff. And then for judges, I will be doing line, and I'll explain all that stuff in a second. SCS Wanted will be doing angle, and Houdini will be doing style. I give you guys some background, but we all suck. So.
Hey man, I won
Nothing
3
really to talk
rounds.
about.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you won.
MGU champion, bro. Come on, man.
Hey,
I mean that's somewhat of a freaking portfolio, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
yeah. Well, I could also give them the.
oh, here we go.
Stats where I was like, I was third
In his own
overall, but
competition.
only because I showed up to everyone. Well, at least I'm not.
Oh.
But anyway, no. If you guys have done a drift event before, or watched one, or whatever, this should be pretty obvious to you guys. Line, angle, style. Line's how well you stick to the green line on your screen there. Angle is just, how sideways you get. Style is how good we think you are, in short. What it's broken up into is, for line, I'm going to be looking at the 5 mark clipping points here and assigning you up to 5 points for each clip that you hit. So if you're right where we want you, if you're right where I want you on the apex or on the line on the outside there, you get the full 5 points. If you go anywhere shallow or if you're far away from it or if you're too far over it, I'll start taking points off as I see fit. If you totally blow it, you're not getting any points for it. So the 5 points at each clip together will end up being 25, and then I'll be able to give out 10 style points for how well I thought the run was overall. And the wanted, we'll be looking at angle, which will be broken up into degree, which is how much angle you get, and consistency, which is how long you hold it there. So if you're sitting full lock all the way around Big Ben, which is possible, then you should get full degree points. If you come through that first straightaway there between IC2 and OZ1, and you're like fighting the car to keep it sideways, then consistency is going to be marked down. And with style, it's basically what FD uses with commitment, fluidity, and impact. Commitment being kind of it's more of you lose points for having to make a correction. If you jump on it early and then you have to like pull back to make sure you don't go off track or something, your commitment's going to be knocked down. Fluidity is pretty self-explanatory. If you make it look good and it looks like that's what you wanted to do, you'll score high there. And then impact is just like what wanted I will be giving 10 points for. It's just how well we thought the run was overall. And let's get down to this track.
This amazing track. Beautiful,
yeah,
so beautiful.
Track. This should really not be that difficult for you guys. I mean, I think I speak for everyone when say we've done this track a lot. When we got the demo, months ago, it was just like, oh man, Lime Rock, and you just sit there with the stock C-Class car blasting Lime Rock the whole time. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. When we get into the very difficult tracks in the regular season, then we can sit here for much longer. But it's pretty simple. Initiation zone. I'm gonna just go over line real quick, which is my area. The initiation zone. We need you to be initiated by the Samposi Strait Bridge. The bridge that goes over right before Big Ben starts. If you haven't flicked in there yet, first of all, you should be flying off the track. But second, you're not gonna. It's very likely you're gonna be zeroed. There's a thing that I didn't put in here. Is what are zeros? That's all in the rule book though, which is linked on our on both threads, if you go to official rulebook, it should be version 1.2. Just click on that.
I mean,
Then go to the section
zeros
on
are
zeros.
pretty, basic. I mean, straighten, off track.
We have a few that aren't We have a few that aren't listed, like a few that we have come up specifically. But if you want to pull that up, actually, I keep talking, and we can just go over that real quick. But yeah, you want to make sure that you are in the process of initiating by that bridge, which shouldn't be that hard for you to do. I mean, literally, you should be e-braking or whatever well before the bridge. But from there, you're going to hit the first inside, which is going to be, in the same way that you think about, a dual apex and racing. You hit the first one, hit the second one, while keeping it midline through the middle, between them. That's really how we're going to want you to hit the first two clips here. They're right at where the rumble strips are at the apexes. That's right where we want you to hit. And then from there, I would want you to stretch it out wide to the other outer rumble, but it's not going to be a marked zone, only because, if you don't get all the way out there, good luck doing the rest of the course. It's very, very narrow through that straightaway. So if you do blow that, if you don't get all the way out wide and you have to make that correction to make sure you hit the outside zone, the inside, yeah, you're probably not going to be marked down online from me, but for style, for sure, under commitment or fluidity, you're going to get marked down a ton. It all will balance itself out there. Now, outside zone 1, it's really right around where that cone is, and I would have put a picture here, but I didn't feel like going through and taking pictures of every little thing that I'm going to talk about. There is a little cone right before turn 3 starts to turn into the left. That's around where that outside zone is going to be, and literally, there's not a whole lot of landmarks on Lime Rock, and the ones that are ones that you can move. So what I'll be looking for the outside zone is just to make sure that you, on transition, you snap over, and you get your tires close to the white line. That's really all I'm going to be looking for. You'll get max points there if I see if you get your bumper passed out into the grass and I don't see any dirt being tossed up, you're going to get max points for that zone all day. If I do see dirt pop up, or you could have a little bit more room or whatever, that's where I'm going to mark down there. But literally, out the transition, just make sure that before you duck into IC3, you get your back tires out on the white line out there. And then from there, it's extremely straightforward. That zone was really the only part of that was kind of complicated there. You're going to want a late apex into IC3. My favorite part about this track is that transition and being able to hold a ton of angle sweeping through turn 3. And that's really what I want to see you guys do, is take it deep, hold it far, and then duck in as a late apex, rather than just powering through the middle without taking it, snapping over as hard, or coming through the outside zone fast and then just coming in. I want to see you guys take it out far and then bring it in, and then from there just transition back into the last corner there on the inside, and then track wide. I don't have the straightaway marked here, but only because that's not going to be looked at that heavily. Just make sure as soon as you hit that apex, you just track wide to the other side of the track and then shut it down. Really quick, important there. Actually, we'll cover that with the zeros. And then wanted isn't here, so I'll go over angle really fast just because it's really not that hard. I mean, in the drivers' meetings that I've actually been to, the angle judge goes last and says, "Yeah, I just want to see you guys get angle. All right, go drive." But really, what I'm looking at, or what one is going to be looking at here, is turn 3. You can hit full lock and then floor it and hit IC3 perfectly. And that's going to be the big zone. If you shallow up there, expect to get a lot of points taken off. Through the sweeper, through IC1 and IC2, that's another place where you can hold full lock and just floor it all the way through. I know some people like to put an outside in between them, so you have to go in, out, in. But I want to give you guys a chance to just huck it and hold it where it is. So there's no obligation to go wide there. Just keep it, hit the two insides, and you're good. And really the only spot where there's going to be some leniency on angle, because you could be full locked through this whole track, is the last corner, only because of how sharply it kind of trails off. It's a decreasing radius. So if you don't if you don't snap over all the way on the last corner, it's not nearly as bad. You'll still probably get marked off for it, but not as much as if you would be coming through OZ1. If you're not full lock at OZ1, I mean, good luck. So, who do you want to talk about? Style real quick, stuff you're looking for?
Basically, the biggest parts that would really, catch my eye would be, let me pull up the track in here quick. Would be basically coming off the first transition there into the where you can throw it in decently hard. If you can throw it in hard and still stay on throttle, I don't want to see trying to throw in backwards entries and stuff and then have to let off and correct. If you can throw it in hard and still maintain on throttle, that's going to be the biggest thing for me, is not pedaling it and keeping it committed. Like, that's my biggest thing, is staying committed throughout the run. That's how you maximize your style points with me. So coming into that, part where off the transition there where you can throw it in hard, if you can throw it in hard with good angle and everything and stay on it the whole way through it, you're going to probably get, that's going to be something that really catches me, because being committed is the biggest thing in my style scoring, I guess you can say. So that's basically the big thing for me, especially around the, the first sweeper there and everything on Big Ben. If you can go through that too, just committed on throttle. I don't want to hear pedaling it, and then letting off a little bit, and left foot braking and stuff like that. I'd rather just see you on throttle majority of the run. I understand not going off track and all that stuff, but that's how you're really gonna maximize your style points, is through being committed throughout the run. Basically, that's the big thing for me.
Yeah, with the way that this track works, if you're not committed from the moment you throw it in the first corner, everything else is going to be affected. With how narrow this track is, if you don't have your line on point, if you're not hitting every single clipping point and making sure you're going from outside to outside back to and apexing properly, something else is going to go wrong. There's no getting around it. There's no room for error at all here. It's an easy track to get around, but if you're off at any point, you're going to have a problem. So, line's going to be affected. Angle's probably maybe not going to be affected, and style will definitely be affected. So, I think the key, which is what Tyler was saying, is be committed to what you're doing and stay there.
I mean, the other thing, too, is, inconsistent with angle, even though I'm not an angle judge, of course, but if you're sitting there wavering back and forth with your angle, you're still not finding the right spot, whatever, that's also going to mark down style, because, being as smooth as you can, that's going to, make it look better, in my opinion, and if it looks better, then that's better style, in simpler terms, basically. So, that's another thing, too, is, wavering and all that stuff like that. Corrections, anything like that, even though it's angle, I can also count it as style, too, because that's part of the, overall impact of everything. Right, that's too.
Fluidity.
So, that's another thing to keep in mind, too, but biggest parts of the style are being committed and, if you're going to do something, do it, and, stuff like that. I don't want to see any, half judging, should I do this, or going mid-run. I mean, if you want to try to take things different ways, but that's fine. But mid-run, if I see you trying to be oh, maybe I should do this or not, and then you do something weird, you're gonna get marked down pretty hard, I think. So just keep those things in mind when you're practicing and stuff when it comes to qualifying. That's probably the biggest things I'm going to be looking at.
Find a line and stick to it, basically. And real quick before we get into questions from you guys, I just want to go over the tire drop thing real fast. Rumble strips are going to be counted as racing surface, which means you can put a tire there if you need to. Mostly because, you know, depending on how you hit it, the rumble strip could actually screw you over in the end. So it's up to you whether or not you want to use that or whatever, but you do have that little bit of safety net. And how this is all broken down in our rulebook too. With tire drops, if we see a puff of dirt come up when you're, or first of all, let me just say this: 2 tires off will be a 0 in qualifying and in tandem. So if you put 2 off at the exact same time, anywhere around the track, 0, donezo. If you put 1 off each, like 1 off is a deduction, of course. If you do 1 off multiple times, it's still just gonna be a deduction. We don't like count up tire drops because that's lame. You know, we don't sit there, drop 1 tire there, drop 1 tire there. Okay, he wins because he dropped twice and that guy didn't, or something. You know, it doesn't work like that. So if you put a tire off at one point, don't worry about it. And even at that, first of all, if we see, you know, the puff of grass come up or the puff of dirt come up, immediately we're like, oh, that's a tire drop right there. Regardless of how much we see of it or not. If it's in that situation where we just see the puff, but we don't actually, it doesn't look like you really went that off track, you're not going to get a huge deduction. You know, we're not breaking anyone's butts here. Like, come on. Like, it's no big deal. It happens. You think you're somewhere, and you end up not being as close to that as, or closer than you thought, whatever. But if you go off, we see the puff of smoke, and we can clearly see a tire off, you're going to get a bigger deduction. And then with the 2 tire thing, especially with preseason, we're not gonna be super on top of that, really, because we want everybody to drive. We want everybody to have a chance to score and have a chance at driving. The only way that we're gonna hard 0 you on 2 off is if it's like really obvious that you've put 2 off. If we have to sit there and question like, oh, did that look like 2 to you? Then expect like a huge deduction, but probably not a 0. When we get into regular season, then we'll actually sit down and go, you know, okay, was that 2 off? And then by communal vote, basically, like what we all think would be like, no, he was 2 off, that's a 0 next run, or, you know, I don't think that was 2 off. Score him.
On the topic of zeros, are we? I don't know if we're actually gonna do this next. I think I have the old rulebook up. The whole like getting to the staging area in time for runs.
Yeah, well, that will be for tandem.
Okay.
Well, we can cover that later. Because with qualifying, everybody's gonna be there by appointment anyway. So there's really I'm not sitting there like going, come on.
Yeah. The other thing is, I don't think you've mentioned yet. It's kind of a little bit off topic, but for wheels and controllers, I guess too. If your wheel breaks mid-run, it's 0. There's no redo. There's no nothing. Like if the forward feedback acts up, anything like that, you're done. That's still 0 no matter what happens. It's the equivalent of in real life. If your car breaks, you don't get a redo. You don't take any of that. If it breaks hard, then you do get, you know, you can use you have, like in real life, you have 1 5-minute timeout. You can go do what you need to do, but you got, you know, 5 minutes to get back and do what you need to do. But if it's mid-run breaks, there's no redos. It's judged how it is. If you go off track, you're done 0. Straighten, anything like that. Controllers, same thing. If your batteries die mid-run, it's done. It's still 0. It doesn't matter. There's no redos. So just keep that in mind before you go into battles. Make sure your controller has new batteries or whatever, and it's not low. Wheels, always, you know, I know it's a little hard on 6 here, but just always, you know, try to make sure you're keeping it all ready to go. Make sure it doesn't, you know, start acting up on you before the run starts, because it will be, there is no redos, it's done there, 0. Like, it's, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. It also keeps the event going, and it's not fair to the other person to just redo it, because, you know, I can't really say much for wheels, but for controllers, for not paying attention to how low your batteries are or whatever. So just keep those things in mind. um, before you go and do your battles.
And on that, it's if you start basically, like he said, it's mid run if it breaks. So if you come off the line and something isn't right, shut down. Just, I mean, if you can, or immediately let one of us know, because at least one of our staff would be in the party with you, so that you can say, yo, stop, like, this is wrong, or I can't do this run, this is wrong. Once you get past the roll, or where the base on this track, once you get past where the pit exit is, whatever happens, happens. There will be special situations like if like you're chasing. This is all tandem stuff, but I just want to make sure you guys are know that we're not being total a-holes here. If the guy in front of you is like lagging or something, and it's after the roll and it messes you up, you can slam on the brakes right there too. So just there is a small before you initiate, you have that amount of time to determine whether or not it's a run that you want to continue with. Otherwise, as soon as you initiate, you are saying, "Judge this." So just keep that in mind. Tyler, do you want to go over the zeros?
I don't know if they're the same because I have the older rulebook up from.
Sase, do you have the rulebook open? 1.2.
I can send it in again. Just give me a second.
All right. While he's going over that, into the Atmosphere asks, will there be different judging based on if we drive a wheel or controller, specifically with regards to corrections while counter-steering and such?
Absolutely not. I don't think so. You can be smooth on a controller. You can. It's a tough question because I don't want to sit there. I don't want it. Nobody's going to get special treatment. I'll just put it that way. We're not giving anybody special treatment here. You can ask our teammates. We don't give special treatment. But wheel or controller. All we're looking at is can you do the run? Can you do the pass? Can you do the track? That's all we're taking into effect here. And I know some of my controller friends here are going to say, well, I'm not all that smooth on the controller. Takes practice, takes time.
But it is possible. It's not some mythical.
100%.
It is totally possible. I've seen it done many times. It's definitely a thing. I'm scrolling through the rulebook real quick. I'm trying to find it. Do you remember what pages it's on?
It'll be in.
It's page 15.
There's a table of contents.
All right.
0 scores.
Okay, let's see. Alright, so for 0 scores, basically says, a score of 0 is the lowest possible score a driver may earn, obviously. Drivers that score 0 on any official pass, qualifying, or tandem are defined as forfeiting that run. So basically, if you get a 0, it is 100% advantage to the other person in tandem. In qualifying, it basically counts as no run. It's not like a redo no run, but it basically means you have no score for that run, obviously, because it's 0. But it's basically the run's dead. Things that constitute as a 0 may include inactive chase, being more than 4 car lengths behind the lead car, which is for tandem, of course. But do you want me to go over that too? As with.
Nah, we'll save that. Just go over the stuff that's.
Contact with a wall that ends the pass, which you don't really have to worry about in Lime Rock. A spin over rotation, basically if you spin out, lose drift, all that good stuff, it's a 0.
Real quick. On the rule of spinning, and the finish line, because of the disconnect between knowing what you're doing as a driver and us watching what you're doing, when you finish your run, make sure once you've gotten through IC4 and you've tracked wide out into the no-name straight, make sure you just like clutch in or let off to shut the car down. Just completely come straight so that we know that you are saying, my run is over. If you come around that corner and you are still drifting in that same direction and you spin out, you are basically saying that, or you're giving us like a chance to say he may have spun out. That's a 0. The finish line is not a like we turn our heads and look away once you pass the finish line. It's just to mark like this is where the run should end. You can shut down now. If you come around that last corner, you transition once, like you do some like Hopway Manji stuff. First of all, I'm not going to be happy, but second of all, that is another way of saying my run's kind of done. But if no, I take that back. If you manji off of or through no name straight and then spin out on the manji, we're probably not gonna 0 you, but you're allowing us to kind of say, hold on, was he losing control there? So just make sure you get through the last corner and then you just shut down, and do so like respectfully too, especially if we're in tandem and you have a guy behind you. Don't just shut down and go like brakes.
Yeah.
You know, nobody likes that. But just make sure you let your car stop drifting. You go straight. That lets us know, okay, he's done. That's the run. We will absolutely 0 you if you hit IC4 while rotating, and then you continue rotating through the corner and spin. That's a 0, for sure. And obviously, if you're in the process of spinning before you hit the finish line, it's always going to be a 0. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys know the finish line is not this like this force field of judging. It's just to say you need to be shutting down right now. So
loss of drift. Basically, if we don't, the way if you straighten up or anything like that, if you basically there's no smoke or anything like that coming from your car, it's a 0. 2 tires off of racing surface. If you go 2 off on the outside of any grass, or 2 off on the inside of any grass, or 3 off, or 4, any whatever, it's a 0. More than 2, no matter what, is a 0. So, and again, that's off racing surface. So if you're rumble strip on this track, you don't have to worry about, like you said. It's tandem. I already talked about 4 tires off. Again, 0. That's also
a lot of it is tandem.
And then, like I said earlier, any wheel controller malfunctions, anything, it's automatic 0. And that's basically it. After that is protests, but I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah, we could save that. That's something you could read on your own time because I don't like talking about it. So,
basically, if you wanna protest, look this over. So.
Yeah, and also when it comes to protests, we're not changing the event for you. It's for like regular season stuff. If you feel like we didn't judge it properly and you lost out on some possible points, we'll just if you're right and we screwed up, we'll give you the points you would have earned for finishing there. But we're not gonna change the event. We're not gonna change the bracket.
And another thing is to a protest, unless you conduct it in a vile, basically an orderly manner. If you're an adult about it, we'll look it over. But if you come messages be like blah 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 whatever, and there's no evidence, period, we're just gonna ignore you and move on because we don't have, especially if we run a 32 bracket and 31 other guys are waiting on you, basically, that's not gonna fly. So we want to make sure that the events keep moving, no matter what. So if you really want to protest, first, you gotta have evidence. Second off, you got to do it in an orderly manner, and then third, you have to make sure you do it in time before we move on. Because once we skip it, it's done.
No, that doesn't mean anything, Ty. We're not changing the event. We're not. Even if they protest, we're not going to change up who won. They just get points. That's all it is. And look at us. We said we didn't want to talk about it. You read about it, and we just talked about it. So, good job.
You want to talk?
And yeah, basically to really not be friends with us, just message us after a battle and say we're biased and that.
Because that's always worked every other time that everybody else has done that. So.
that's how you become not friends with us real fast. So I think that's it. So let's just
did you
open it up
cover
to
what's it called in lobby manners, like because I'm on the part where it's disrespect towards competitors.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, that we covered that in the track protocol.
Okay.
Basically, it's all like just be a decent person, respect the other guy's driving. You know, everybody's trying to get better. Everybody's trying to show what they've got, and you know, don't get in their way.
If you guys have any questions, just I know there's gonna be a half sec or a couple minute delay here or whatever. So if you guys have any questions, just put it in the chat there, and we can go through whatever questions you guys have left. Stretch. Oh yeah, one thing about media, if you guys want to do that, message me before Friday or Saturday or whatever, so that I'm not just gonna take anybody basically. I want to at least contact me and then give me a link or something that I can work with, so I can look over what what you have or whatever. Because again, there's a limited amount of space, and with that limited amount of space, I gotta keep prioritize certain people over certain people from So if there's not a lot of other people asking for media credentials and there's space, I can basically take anybody. If there's like 2 people ask for it and there's plenty of space, and heck yeah, both of y'all can do it. But it just basically comes down to that. So basically, if you basically want to do media for the weekend or Saturday or whatever, and do any sort of videos or photography or anything like that, message DMA Hoonigan on Xbox, and I'll get back to you sometime either that day or the next day, and we can work something out there. And just make sure that, if you have like a YouTube channel or something, just tell me to go to blah, 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 and then possibly either type your link or type your channel or whatever. And then for photography, if you have like a Flickr or something, link that to something along the lines of that. Basically say, hey, I want to do media for this weekend, and then just have your link or whatever, and that'll be fine. I'll get back to you. So if you want to do media, just make sure you do that.
And we'd really like to have, especially for graphics, I have a problem with, making thread graphics. I do it too much. I'm sure some of you saw already what I've done with, driver names and everything. I do want to get as many... I want to make sure that we get some good photographers in here, or at least people that, know what they're doing and don't,
just vignette the whole thing.
Stuff. I could do a whole nother broadcast about stuff you don't do. Because I would like to have at least one good picture of every driver that makes it to the event for thread graphic stuff, for showing standings and who's driving and everything. So any extra you got anybody that wants to volunteer, I 300,000,000% appreciate it.
The other thing to keep in mind is if you're going to do videos, you'll be doing it for yourself. We have our own separate, basically, channel for Gnarshred stuff, or we will have one. So yeah, basically, yeah. So if we just don't come to me asking, hey, I'll do a video for you guys, because we have that 100% covered between me and Troy. That's 100% covered. If this is for the people that want to do something for their own channel or whatever, or let's say they're competing and they want to, make a video about what they're doing, blah, 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 or somebody wants to make a video for somebody else that's competing, it's more along the lines of that. It's not us going, hey, we need somebody to make a video for us. It's, hey, if you want to make a video, you got to do this. So that's another thing to keep in mind, because I see that somebody said, would you be interested in montage from the footage of events? Again, that's all the media stuff is for you. We have other than photos is another thing. Photos is, we kind of need that. Yeah, photos, that's a different story, but for video stuff, we have that completely covered for the series and for everything, for our team. So if you want to do videos, that's all on you. that's all on your own thing. So that's another thing to keep in mind there, because we get way too many messages about people asking to do video stuff for us. It's like that's not our problem. Like,
Oh, I mean, I had one guy download a
That-
video I did and
That's-
re-edit it, and then say, "Hey, you want to put
That's
this
not
up on your
bad.
channel?" And I said, "Hey, do you want to like never talk to me ever again?" Like, just
yeah, and
just
if
put that in.
I do, if I do, actually that's more photography, but I'll give you guys details if you do get approved for media, I'll give you more details on that. But basically, just like I said, shoot me a message of saying, hey, I want to do either photography or video or both. And if you're doing both, have both links to like a Flickr or something else, or if you're doing if you're doing
Instagram, too.
video, then have your link to that. Same, so on and so forth. Hockey My says, how many DMA members are competing? Too many.
Yeah, well, yeah, the struggle I had to go through, like, the reason why this meeting's taken later than I wanted to is because I didn't know who was judging up until maybe like 2 hours ago. It was just me, because I was falling back on some people, and then I see them sign up for the event, and I'm like, well, okay. And I go to the next person, like, I want to drive. I like this track. I'm like, okay. So, I think I know Ogre's doing it.
I think Jack's doing it. Jack's coming out of retirement.
Yeah, well, I'm not signing Jack up until he registers properly. Something he would never be able to do. Well, I mean, he actually did. He just put a number that was already in
He's a
use.
cheeky bloke.
Because he wanted 69, of course, and somebody else beat him to it.
God dang it.
And
yeah, what, like Saucy said there, I'm just gonna give Slider, or Hockey By, I'm sorry. Hockey By 100 on all runs for style. Even though I can only go up to 30 or whatever, I'm just gonna give him 100. Because I mean, $20 PayPal, you get 100. Yeah, I'll have the link to my PayPal down below. That is 100% a joke, by the way. Do not send me anything. I don't want your money.
I mean, it's okay. I could be a bad boy and mention stuff about other people, and I don't want to. I mean, I want to, but I'm not
Game
gonna.
Speed says better pray replay save for photos. The way we have it set up is hopefully it's still a coin toss, but the more the more you can have it favoring your side is the best way. So we're gonna keep the lobby shorter, and that's easier to download, I guess. And then hopefully,
I would dump all the replay saves you have.
Have a clean slate.
Grab what you want from them and then dump them.
Make sure you just have a clean slate ready to go. That'd be the best
Go back
thing.
to schedule here. Yeah, I mean the 45 minutes I think is gonna be more than enough to get through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battles. I mean each lobby is gonna be 6 battles unless we go several one more times, then it'll that's the only way it'll go over, because we're not gonna take. Like, if we're having problems with, and we'll cover this later, but if people aren't like prompting, coming to the line and keeping things moving, they're gonna get tossed out. So everything's gonna be on a strict time constraint so that replays will have the best.
The other thing about that is too, which we'll probably go over while we have the lobby up with the people in it. It would be best if everybody in the lobby tries to save the replay no matter what. That way, if none of us get it and one person gets it, they can put it on their gallery or whatever, and then you can download it. So, again, we'll probably go over it while we're there. But, yeah, like, if you lose your battle, it'd be best. Unless you're, like, really have to go, it would be best if you stayed around to try and grab the replay. Like, that'd be ideal. But if you just, I'm done with my battle, I'm just going to leave, like, I mean, you can do that, but, I mean, it wouldn't be very beneficial towards us, and, so on and so forth. But, into the Atmosphere says, where we send the Flickr stuff for media. All media stuff, if you want to be approved, message me on Xbox, DMA Hoonigan. Message me what you want to do, whether it's photography or video, or both, and then would that include, like, a YouTube link or a Flickr link, or both if you're doing both.
or wherever.
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
it's
right.
not
It's
just
whatever
for the
platform
Flickr
you
either,
use.
like wherever you. Yeah. And if you have like bigger followings,
Yeah, like
everywhere,
if
always
you have a
include
big
that,
following
just
on
so
like
we know.
Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, you can also put that in there too. That would really help too. Um,
Because as much as we like to help out the little guy, if we had like someone with a huge following come up to us with his stuff, and then someone that's like, "I'm just starting," it's like, well, you can start later. I don't see that happening with this because of how small I think it's gonna be. But just for that's like that's way for
right.
future stuff. Should this get
Other than
bigger?
that, is there any other questions? Any other questions? This is final call for questions. Questions.
I did a horrible job. I
You did,
covered like
dude.
way too
I mean,
much.
I don't think that's a
And then,
horrible thing,
this
but
this slide's got
I
nothing.
mean,
But this is a waste of a slide.
I mean,
When there's any extra questions.
uh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then, of course, those of you that aren't going to be able to make it during the week for qualifying, like, the minute we're done with this, I'm going to hop on Forza and we can get you guys squared away. One thing I want to say real quick regarding lag, for qualifying, because I know with some of you, Team Australia, it's probably going to happen.
You're not bad now, man. You're okay.
Yeah, no, Slider's gotten a ton better. Should that happen, we're going to do it the best of our ability. Like, we're all pretty good. I mean, between Hoonigan, myself, and Wanted, we've driven enough to have an idea, even looking through a car shaking around and everything, whether or not you are online, or this is, you're at a point where you're where you wanted to be. The only problem is going to be, your consistency score on your angle or your fluidity on style, maybe. And I mean, I hate to say it, but you just have to bear with us on that. And of course, I'll let you know when we get into a party to do qualifying and everything. If I get into spectate and I see you guys lagging all over the place or something, I'll mention it to you, and then we can go from there to decide, do we want to stop here and reset the lobby, or hard reset Xbox, or if you want to reset your router or something, like, we can go ahead and do that. But if it happens like during a run and whatever, then like, I'm sorry. But we're just gonna do the best we can with that, and just expect consistency score on your angle is gonna be a little off from what you think it's gonna be. That'll be the only thing to really look out for.
Let's see. Oh, freaking Andy's in the chat. Jesus. Oh, you don't want to read
really?
it though. Yeah,
Big D
triple dippy docky dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Cider, you could have first automatically as long as pay me in PayPal, but I don't know what is even the freaking like currency rate for Australia, whatever they have to American dollars, man. I mean, probably not the same. But I believe I don't think there's any more questions here.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then I'm gonna first of all advance the slide. Okay. If that's the case, then I guess I will talk to almost all. Or why do I have to like preface it with something? I'll talk to you guys sometime later this week, whenever you guys are coming in to qualify. Make sure you guys get that in sooner than later when you're qualifying, so that I know what's going on.
Also, if you have any other questions that you think of, like before qualifying, feel free to post them on the forums, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Or message us individually. Either way. Alrighty, well, those of you that are going to qualify in a second, I'll be on Forza in like T-10 and get you guys squared away. But other than that, see you all on